Okay, let's try that again, see if that's going to work. Okay, so I have my reference photo. This technique is called triangulation on that. And has anybody ever done like connect the dots, right? Where you have a series of dots, and if you follow from dot 1 to dot 2 to dot 3, you create by the end, like dot 100, you've connected all those dots. You have a cool drawing, right? This one is kind of the same in some aspects, except you're making your own dots for your own original photo that you're going to be working from on here. So you do need a reference photo and a pencil. You can use a ruler. I usually have a secondary thing here, but you can kind of do it freehand as well. So let's plot our first dot. So I'm going to take this. I want to create an outline drawing of this bird on this paper. Is what my goal is. So step number one is I need to make sure that these are about the same size. Unfortunately for you, if you look at it, the proportional size of this paper is proportionally the same size as your gray paper. So that's going to be helpful for you on this one. Okay, so we need a dot number 1 to start our connect the dots plan using triangulation. And so you get to choose the dot you want for the starting one, and you're never wrong on that one. And so I'm going to choose this point right here. This is the tip of the wing. The tip of the wing on that one. And so I'm looking at it in the location between the tip of the wing. It's up in the corner over here somewhere, right? I'm looking at this distance, and I'm looking at this distance, and I think it's got to be about right in here somewhere. And so that's what I'm going to do for the tip of the wing. And so I'm going to put my first connect the dot mark right about here on the paper. Now, can we see that very well? I wonder if it would be helpful if on this one, just for the sake of this drawing, I don't want you using a marker, but you can't erase it. Maybe I do this so you can see it a little bit better. And so that's that dot, and that's that dot. Okay? So the next thing I need to do when I'm playing connect the dots is I need to decide, well, what other dots are important to have on that one. So let's look. I think we got a boundary over here. I think we need a boundary over here as well. So I'm going to put this one as a dot right here. This little tip right there. So where is it? Well, I guess I do want a ruler on that one, and you may want one too for drawing the lines on that one. So we'll take a pause in a second here. Let me show you the technique first, and then you'll see why we need the rulers on that sort of thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I have my paper so they're side by side, right? And so I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to place it just on this paper with this dot right here. And then let's do this first. Let's connect these dots here. Let's take our ruler. This is where we really wanted to connect the dots. Okay, so I have this ruler like that. And I've connected the dots. So we'll take just a brief pause while you can jump up and grab a ruler real quick for drawing. I guess we kind of do need one on those, and for playing connect the dots. So we put our first 2 marks, and our first one is a given. This is absolutely correct on our first one here. This next one not as absolutely correct because we don't know where that is over here yet on those. So now what we can do is we're going to take my ruler like this, and I'm just going to set it on here in sort of a random fashion. This is where that other pencil came in on that. I just have another thing like this, and sometimes it's helpful. You can't see the line very well, but what I'm doing is this. I'm just going to try to make sure that my ruler and that this line are parallel. Okay, so this is the line that I'm highlighting, and my paper is right next to each other. So I got to make sure that the ruler and this line are parallel. Okay, so I'm going to look at my camera and see what it says on that one. It says, "It looks pretty close, Mr. White. Oh, way to go." And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a light line from this dot and make a vector drawing this way. Now I'm going to draw heavy. I want you to draw a light line because you're going to have to erase these at some point in time on that. But I want you to see that I actually drew a line on those. And it goes out here. Now if I was making a real small drawing, I would put my dot closer to this one. If I was making an enlargement, I could put it way out over here. So I'm going to make it about the same size. So what I'm really looking to do is I know, because this line and this line were parallel, right, that somewhere on that line is this dot. Does that make sense? because they're parallel, right? They got to be on that sort of thing. I'm going to make this just a little longer. Okay, a little longer on that one. Okay, so somewhere on here. So I get to decide where it is. You know, like I said, if I'm making something small and I'm making a drawing right in this corner, I can put it right here, right? And so I'm making a drawing this big. If I'm trying to make it full size, which I am, it's got to be closer over here somewhere. And so I'm putting these here, and I'm looking the distance from the side on that one, and I'm going to guess and say, I'm going to put it in just a little bit more, but I'm going to put my dot right there. So I have dot 1 and I have dot 2 on those. Now I'm going to use these 2 points to plot the rest of the dots that I need to connect the dots. Okay? So let's pick another point. Okay? Let's say, what else would be useful to know on this one? I think it would be useful to know where the tip of his beak is, right there. Okay? So that's going to be the spot that I want. So for triangulation purposes, I'm going to take, and now I'm going to create a triangle. Oh, Mr. White, you're using the terminology here, triangulation and a triangle. Yeah, so I'm going to create a triangle between my 2 original points and the 3rd point. So right there, like that. That's pretty cool. Get my paper side by side again. Now what we get to do is I get to line my ruler up parallel to this line right here. I'm trying to recreate this line. And so I gotta put this here. So a lot of times I like having an extra reference here. So that's right there. And so I'm trying to make sure my ruler and the popsicle stick are going the same direction. And so I'm looking at try to look at the camera here and see if we have this going. Does this line and this line look parallel? I'm saying to myself, yeah, they kind of look, I think they look parallel on that one. Sometimes when you're sitting on a table and you're sitting far away from your stuff, like if my drawing's up here and I'm sitting way back over here, then your view gets a little bit skewed. You can't see it quite right. So you do have to get up on top of it and look down on the thing to make sure your lines are correct on those. I'm using the camera right up over here, so that's things. And those look pretty correct for me. So now I'm going to take and I'm draw a light line, a pretend light line. You guys are going to draw a light line. I'm going to draw one so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line here like that. And so now I have that one. So now I'm going to draw the other side of the triangle, doing the same technique. This is the line I'm trying to recreate. I put my ruler on the point number 2, and then I try to line them up as parallel as I can. Okay, I'm going to look through the camera and say popsicle stick and magic ruler. How's that look? Does that look good? That looks pretty correct. I think I got the popsicle stick and the thing there. Now, it's not perfect, right? Because maybe can we really tell if is it really right here, like that, or is it really right here, like this? I mean, the variance on this subtlety of the ruler, there's for error, and so this one's not going to be quite as correct. It's kind of like cloning, right? On that. And so now I'm going to draw this line, a light line. Where they intersect, guess what? That's point number 3. Okay? So now I know where point number 3 is, right there. Pretty cool. Now, here's the only problem. If I'm looking at this one, I'm saying, man, I hope I left enough room to draw the bottom of the feet. The bottom of the feet might end up in this thing here because I made it so wide. I might have on that sort of a thing. But I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be okay on that. All right, so what's the next point? What's another good point? Let's go right here. Let's go right here. Right here in the crook of his neck, right here where the wings come together. I think that's a great point, and if I knew where that was, I could make a really great drawing. And so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to draw another triangle from my original points. Okay, original points, that's key on that. So here's this line, like that. Here's this line, like that. Okay, that's kind of an important one there, like that. And so now I have that line down. I'm going to plot that point again, put my papers next to each other. I'm going to put this in here like this. and get my magic popsicle stick just because it's helpful for me. There's my popsicle stick. There's the line I want to draw from point number 1. Notice I am going back to the original points again too on that. So now that I have that ready to go, I need to make sure my ruler and the popsicle stick are parallel, and it looks to be about like that. Okay, and so now I'm going to draw a line here. Okie dokie schmokey. Let's go back to this one now. And I can do this too. I can go like this and I can look at it and say, does that look reasonable? I think it looks pretty reasonable. Okay, I'm just double checking. Okay, then I'm going to go here like this and try and draw that one. And I'm going to try and draw that one. Okay. Okay, let's look and make sure we're parallel here. I got to get these. So I'm looking at my popsicle stick for this line. I'm looking for this one. Does that look pretty close? I think that looks pretty close, about like that. Okay, so then I'm going to draw this line, and where they intersect is supposedly the right spot. Okay, so I've drawn initially right here. That's the intersection. So what I want to do now is, since I have more dots in play, before I only had 3, right? I only had 3. And so I'm looking at it, and now I have number 4, and I'm looking at it. How does it compare with some of these other dots? Like I know where they were in this one. How does it compare to these guys right here? And so I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, well, there's a line that goes through that one, and then there's a line that kind of goes like this. And are they parallel on that? Do they line up fairly well? And if they don't, then I got to make some adjustments. I'm just kind of using this as a double check. And that looks pretty good. I think maybe that it needs to be out just a little bit further, about like that. And so where it crossed, one of these is off a little bit, so I'm just going to say that it's more right here than right exactly where that crossed on those, because there's room for error on that one. And so now I can look at those and say, does that look like a reasonable, that looks pretty good. I'm liking that. Okay. So let's find another point. What else would be good to know on making this drawing? I think it would be good to know this. I'm going to pick this point right here. Right here. Now this point is the tip of the wing. So if I'm doing my connect the dots, look, I could go to here, then I go to here, then maybe go up here, then I maybe go up here, and I'd have a pretty cool close proximity, right? Playing connect the dots on this one. This one I'd have to come down a little bit more. I might need some more dots in there. But let's go ahead and do this one right here for right now. Let's get my papers up. And oh, triangles. And let's draw that one like that. And let's draw this one like this. Now I realize you're saying, Mr. White, man, this takes kind of a lot of time to plot these points out. Yeah, it does. It does. There's another version of this one, which is the other technique, which is a little faster. But this is traditionally how triangulation works. I'm trying to plot out those points on those. And so now I have that next point. I'm trying to draw this line right here. Now here's the deal. When you are drawing lines or triangles that are fairly flat, it's a little bit difficult to make sure that that's working okay on those. Because if it's a flat triangle, either in a very acute one or a very obtuse triangle, it's more difficult. So lining up my popsicle stick, lining up my ruler, I'm looking at them. Does it look fairly reasonable? It looks fairly reasonable on that one. I'm going to draw in my hard line here. Remember, you're drawing lightly. You're not being crazy like me on that. Now I'm going to bump over to the other one. The original points. Notice everything is coming from the original 2 points. Okay. So now I'm looking up to make sure this one and this one are parallel. That looks pretty good. Looks like I didn't really draw my line far enough on that one. Where I didn't have the connection, so I'm going to have to go back and do this. So that's where it crossed right there. So right here is the area that I'm looking for. Let's clear those guys off here. Put it like this. This is my double check. I'm going to check between this one here and this one here. Remember, obtuse triangles can kind of throw us off a little bit, so I think it's more along this line here, right? That looks better. And so really, that was my guess, my point on the triangulation, and I'm going to put it about right here, right on this other line on that. Like that. That looks pretty good. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, the next one, point that I want. So I'm going to do this one quicker. And so just follow along. I'm going to put the tip of this wing so I can go here, 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 then back over again for playing connect the dots on that sort of a thing. I'm going to come back in, going to draw this one. Oh, look at that. Is that cool or what? This one kind of goes through right that other point, so I could extend this one out just like this. I think that's kind of cool. And then I'm going to go to this one over here because I only have that one line. Oops, oh, Mr. White got crazy. Okay, and so then this line here just extended out, and it was the same line, and I was able to use that one to extend that out a little bit. Then I was coming back here, popsicle stick time, boom, and right here, that looks to be about right here, like that, okay, and then how's that fit in with my marker plan here? My grand scheme. That one went there. That one went there. On plotting on that one. That looks fairly correct. Maybe a little bit on this one. So a little bit further up this line. I'm going to say right there. And now I can also check. If I really want to check, I can check to this other point here and see how they were going. See if those lines are parallel. Like that. That looks good. That looks good. Okay, we're going to do another one. I'm going to put about 10 points on here that are just, I think, would be really, really helpful for me on those. What is that? I think I want one right here. And so that's that point. This one is right at the crook of the wing, and I figured if I could draw like a curved line like this and had an ending point right there, that would be way cool on those. Now, my two starting points are right at the very, very top, and sometimes when you do drawings, they're right in the middle. Sometimes they're in other locations on that. But remember, always just draw from your first lines. They don't have to be lines that are at the very top of your thing here. Interesting, notice how that just kind of bisected that line there. That's kind of interesting for that area. Okay, like I said, I wanted to move just a little faster so that we don't bog you down too much. Okay, there's that one. There's that one. We're looking at them so that they're parallel. That looks pretty good. Draw this line out. Come down here. Go to this one. This one is kind of, remember, it's going to divide that one about in half too. So as I'm looking at this line here, that line there, those look parallel. That's where it crosses. Do a quick check. This line here versus this line here. Those look pretty parallel to me. On that one, maybe down a smidge, maybe down right there. Going to put in that point. All right. Let's do this one here. Actually, you see how this line really kind of came across? I want that point right there. And so if I just kind of, you know, took a line, if I want that point, I'm going to use one of my original lines right there for that point right there. And then I'm going to use one of these lines over here. Create a new one. Interesting. Look, it comes through this spot right here as well. So how these lines line up with one another, that's kind of cool, huh? So this line that I used to get this dot, if I take and connect it, like connect the dots like this one, where it crosses here, those should be parallel. And so in which line I'm trying, it's this one right here. So right here is that other dot, right here, right? like that. That's where this dot was, this blue one. Okay, let's get one more. Let's get 2 more points of reference. I want this one right out here. This is going to help me with the bottom part, right? This little dot on the corner. Take my ruler, draw it in. So you're just plotting the points, making triangles like that. Now I'm going to come over here. This one almost goes through this other dot, but not quite. Like that. Almost through that one, but not quite. Alrighty, Friday. Like I said, I'm picking up the pace a little bit. Since I know what I'm doing now, I can go a little bit quicker to try and get the points that I want. Okay, so I got this one out here like this. Pretty good. I'm looking at this triangular shape here. I'm looking at this one. That looks pretty good. That one's coming down this way. Okay. Then the other dot that I had, I got to draw right here. And it's going through the next one. That's going through this one right here. It says that it's about like that. Let's put them side by side. Remember, you got to have your paper side by side on that. There's that. Maybe like that. Those look parallel, and so as this line comes out here, this is where it crosses. Sweet. I can check that one a little bit with the one right above it. These are almost vertical, aren't they? And so if I put a vertical line over here as my double check, that's a vertical line. That's pretty darn close. Maybe in just a smidge. Right there. Awesomeness. Okie dokie, Smokey. I'm going to plot one more point before I actually start my drawing, and then I think we'll be where I can maybe start my drawing. And you can plot as many points as you need to create the accurate drawing. The last one that I wanted to do here was the other end of his tail feathers, right here on that. So I wanted that one, the location being here. It looks like it's almost just an extension out of this other one, and that would make sense, right? And then it's going to come over here like that. So I go on here, and it's an extension of this line over here. This line has like 3 dots on it. And then I need to line up this one here. And a bit like that. And so I'm looking at it. They look fairly parallel. So looks like this might be the intersection right here. Like that. Let me compare these two here. It's a little bit of an angle. They're not exactly horizontal, so let's do a comparison. So that needs to be just altered just a little bit, maybe like that. Maybe we bring this one up a little bit, and I bring this one down a little bit. That's why it's good to have your points there. Okay, so I've plotted a number of points, and like I said, you've plotted, what do we got? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different points on here. That now if I wanted to try to create this drawing, I know where those, I have beginning spots and I have ending spots of where the drawing is. So I'm going to jump in. Okay, where's my pencil? Where's my pencil? Okay, so as I'm looking at my reference drawing here, I have this as a wing thingy up here, and it kind of goes by right along these here, and so this is my drawing of that little indentation, and then the wing is kind of rounded like that, and it comes in here. So I've dropped the beginning point of that. Now on this one here, there's another little part that kind of sticks up here, this other wing that comes up. It comes up above this line that I made here, so I think it's about right here somewhere. And I've used this point to kind of figure out about where these are on that. Okay. And now I can come down to this spot right here, and that's a fairly straight line. These lines in here, I think comes down, does a slight S curve on that. Okay, that sort of thing. Now, as you're creating your drawing, eventually you're going to have these ziggy-zaggy lines, the triangulation lines. You can erase those eventually, but you still can use them to create your drawing. Then I'm going to pop down. Is it here? It's this one here, right over here, right? So these are my dots that I need to connect. Is this one? This one has just a little bit of an arc to it as well, as it's coming down like that. And then there's a little bit of a spot that maybe shoots out a little bit. It's rounded, but it goes out right along this same line here. And so it just goes out a little bit here. And then we're going straight up till this one over here. And so since I'm playing connect the dots on this drawing, it makes it just a little easier to do that. Okay, now this one out here, I'm going to move this over so I can kind of see what I'm drawing, and I can use the angle I'm looking for. And so this line here kind of comes up above the line, then drops down the line. So this part is going to be above the line. This part is going to be below the line. And so as I'm connecting those, I'm making this little S curve here. That's up, that's below, and then that's curving up until the point right here. And so now I've created that line. And it's fairly easy to make and make some alterations just because it's so close to these other lines that we have. Now, I have over here, I have a series of feathers, maybe 3 feathers that kind of loop out. And they stick out a little farther than this one line right here. But there's a couple of feathers that are kind of sticking out like that. And then there's more feathers. We're going into this spot here. So I'm going to draw just kind of a rough line in here. And then we're going to just have these little feathery things that kind of come off this way, and now they're coming up that way. More juice in my pencil. Out of juice in my pencil. Okay, and so these little parts here kind of stick out a little bit. They're little rounded things that are actually going back towards that part right there. And then we have these little loopy-doopties. And so now we have this part drawn here. This section here is going to drop down below this one. I could have plotted out this point. That would have been a good one to know, huh? But since I don't have it, I guess I'm not going to use it on that one. And so this little section comes in here. And this little part sticks out a little bit there. Now I got to draw some feathers, ends of feathers. Okay, that's cool. And then this one is dropping right at that intersection. This is kind of dropping down right here. It's away from this line, huh? So this is going to be more right here. Now as this crosses, we notice that at this intersection, this comes down a little bit. So it's dropping down a little bit, and then it goes more straight out towards the tail feathers. For the first part of the tail feathers, I'm going to draw the basic circle or the arc that is right here. And so the tail feathers in and of themselves are more like this arc here. And then I can put the details in on them in just a little bit on those. Let's go ahead and go up. From here, the beak is right here. Okay, so this is his head. This is where the beak is, right? That's our beaky. Now the tail feathers are under the beak, so it's got to come back here somewhere. Let's bring this up a little bit. It's more like this somewhere, right? It goes underneath the beak. How far in does it go? It looks to me like, I'm following this down, maybe about right here it goes, and then it has a spot that's shooting diagonal here. Like I said, if you need more pieces, if you need more dots, draw in some more dots, okay, on this one. And you can plot as many dots as you feel you need. Okay. There's the beak. There's the part of the leg that comes down here, and then the talons kind of come this way. These are about, this needs to come down a little further, maybe to there, and then this part is coming out. I notice that this line is kind of continuation of that one. This kind of comes up over here and then out to this line right here, and then this point right here. On those feathers, they radiate out from the wing, from the tip of the wing. And then as these ones come up here, there's this one. And then from the tip of this wing, this one is also radiating out a little bit. Then there's a portion here that is kind of like this, and then you have the wing that's right underneath the feather that's right here. Okay. I'm trying to finish up the talons here. These ones are kind of hidden in the foot itself, in the feathers, so you don't see it as much. Okay. So now I have the outline of my birdie. And I can go in and I can start marking in some of these areas. Other things you're going to need to know about as you create this drawing. We're going to do multiple values on that one. So we're going to use a black pencil. We're going to use a white pencil. And then we're going to have a medium gray and then the gray of the paper. And so there's 4 different values we're going to utilize when we're creating this drawing with the black and the white pencils on that. So it might be helpful if you know where some white spots are, that you designate those as white spots. There's some structure here like on the top of his head that kind of comes like this, right, that's white. And this area, so I know that this area right here is going to be more of a white area as I create that drawing, right? I know that there's inside this area here, there's a little white streak right here, and so I'm just going to try and block that in a little bit so I know where it is. You can either use triangulation to plot the points on where they begin and end, or you can just kind of eyeball it as you go across. There's a black part right here that kind of comes up, this part right here, right? And so, and then there's some grayish stuff happening in here. That one there, and it goes down about this low. And then this part, let's finish this part up here. I come in there, then it's going to come out a little bit again, and then it's going to come back in again. So I kind of have that spot taken care of. This is going to continue down here, and then cut out to this part here, like that. And so there's a light gray part right in here. And I'm kind of looking where it crosses some of the lines and things like that. So I'm just kind of mapping it out a little bit. And you can draw in as much as you feel you need on that one. There are some areas that I kind of feel I need. Oh, that doesn't go down that far. That's a little, that's a big. So, now because we're going to be working in pencil and we have a little bit more control with things, we can make adjustments on the fly as we have the air. So I've just marked out that there's black tips on the wings here. There's a little bit of a gray area over here on that one. And so for the first part, I think that's probably plenty of drawing, is trying to just finish up your outline drawing for your osprey. We'll talk about value application next time on our next lesson. Now I am going to post, this is not posted on Canvas yet for uploading your drawing. I'll try and get that done by the end of the day to where you can have the outline drawing of your osprey and get 10 points for uploading that picture. Then you're going to get more points for putting in the values next class period on it. So probably split just about even for making those drawings.